Hey, what's going on, everyone? How you guys doing? My name is Matt Jarbo. This is Three Buck Theater, and we have to have a talk about George Lucas because I am going to take a very controversial, unpopular opinion here, but I feel it needs to be said, and that is Lucas should not return to Star Wars. Now, let me preface this by saying I love that dude. If that guy showed up and was like, Matt, I need you to come with me on an adventure, I'd probably drop everything I'm doing and jump in a car with him and take off to regions unknown in order to do God knows what. Knowing Lucas, probably to help hide a body. But that being said, as much as I love the guy, he's not a fit for Star Wars anymore. And he hasn't been for quite some time. And we need to stop kind of looking at him with these rose-colored glasses, because when we look at Lucas, we can appreciate him for the storyteller that he is. We can appreciate him for how he changed modern cinema, and we can appreciate him for helping usher in the digital age, and that's fantastic, and I will always love him for that, and I respect the man immensely. But when it comes to Star Wars specifically, he hasn't cared in a long time, and we need to stop acting like he does. Because he cared, he wouldn't have sold it. And he sold it a long time after the release of Revenge of the Sith. That was in 2005. He sold it in 2012. That was 7 years later. It wasn't an immediate thing, but he was done and you could tell. And a lot of people out there tend to not look at everything that happens with George Lucas. Look, Lucas created Star Wars. Yes, 100%. Did he model it a little bit after Lord of the Rings? Absolutely. Did he model it a little bit after, Kurosawa films? Absolutely. Did he model it after Kurosawa? Yeah, 100%, right? And that's all good. That's all great, right? The best kind of art is stuff you take from other things, I think. I think when you, all art is imitation in some way or another. But that being said, he directed the one movie, and then he produced and co-wrote the other two. And then he went away for a long time. And he came back 17 years later, or 16 years later, with The Phantom Menace, a movie that he wrote and directed that was panned. It's still panned to this day. 20 and a half years later, it's still panned to this day. Jake Lloyd was so distraught over being bullied after being in that movie that even today his family put out a statement that he is living in a mental health facility trying to get over his anxiety, in part from having been in Star Wars. Like, the movie, while it has its great moments, at the end of the day, it's still one that is universally panned. And Lucas then tried to get a little bit better with Attack of the Clones, and it was a bit better. I like it, but still. Then you have Revenge of the Sith, and he ended it, and it was still pretty panned. And keep in mind, we didn't have social media back in the 1980s, because I guarantee you there would have been a lot of people pushing back on that kind of stuff as well. So the guy spent 16 years, more than that, right? 1977 to 1999, really, having almost nothing but universal praise, nothing but universal adornment, nothing but toy deals and merchandising and licensing and everything else under the sun. He allowed for the EU to be created, and the EU was very popular amongst a large group of people, but Lucas never gave a crap about the EU. To him, the EU was never canon at all, but he allowed it to exist. And then he made Red Tails, a movie he was very, very, very proud to make, a movie that was all about, the Tuskegee Airmen. And it's one that he went out and he personally promoted it. And I remember watching him on The Daily Show and watching him on other nighttime talk shows, promoting the movie and being so excited about this film, so happy about this movie, that I actually went opening weekend and I went to go see it opening weekend because I believed in the vision Lucas had. I believed in it. Even though he produced it, he was so happy and so proud of this movie that I was like, I am there to support my boy. And the movie was not very good. And then less than a year later, he sold it to Disney. And he sold it to Disney for a very specific reason. He has said that he sold it to Disney because they would continue on the legacy of Star Wars, that they would continue on the work. Now, granted, we now know through Iger's memoirs, a very poorly timed memoir, and I don't even know why you would include that in your memoir, that they had bought treatments for episodes 7, 8, and 9 from Lucas, and that they ultimately decided to go another direction, and that they didn't convey it to him well. And people have said that they betrayed Lucas. I think I might have said that, that they did all these things to Lucas. But at the same time, if you look at what those are, they go back to the midi-chlorians. They go back to the microorganisms, the wills. It goes into that type of universe, and nobody would have liked it. I can be a big George Lucas apologist for the prequels in many ways, and even I read that and I went like, oof, no thank you, I'm fine. Now that's not to say that the sequel trilogy did it any better. They have a number of faults on there, and that was all Lucasfilm and all Kathy Kennedy and all Bob Iger, and that was their running of the show. All right. So, but we're not talking about that, because that's not what we're referring to. People keep trying to say that they want Lucas to come back, and maybe they do, but I think you're looking at it through rose-colored glasses. You're looking at it from a sense of moving backwards rather than finding a way to move forwards. Lucas sold Star Wars and Lucasfilm and Industrial Light and Magic and Skywalker Sound and Indiana Jones and LucasArts almost 7 years, or no, 8 years ago, he sold it. 8 years ago, he sold it. He's not looking back. He's not coming back, and we need to let this go. Now, I don't know what the future is going to hold, good, bad, or the other. Project Luminous seems interesting, but it's not going to include video games and movies and TV, so I don't even really see the damn point, to be honest with you. If you're going to set up an event that's not going to coalesce with going into a new movie and building off of that, then I just don't see the point. But Lucas coming back on board to have full control, because you hear reports like this. They're gonna sell Star Wars back to Lucas. They're gonna do. Disney invested $2 billion into a theme park, right? And Lucas has always been close with Disney, with Star Tours and all the other merchandising and licensing that they've had. Captain EO, all of those things. He's been close to Disney for years, because there was so much money in it. Lucas has always made a lot of money off of Star Wars. That's why he let it sit for as long as he did between episode 6 and episode 1. He made so much money off of that, off of licensing, after all those things. And during that time, he wasn't expanding the lore of Star Wars. It was, for all intents and purposes, dead. And yet, people want him to come back thinking now it's going to be as good as it was. It will never be as good as it was. That is, the original trilogy sits in a moment in time, 6 years of time, where we have those 3 movies that are now coming up on 4 decades old, that definitely are one of a kind, and you will never get them ever again. And as much as I enjoy the prequels, and I do enjoy the prequels, I will rewatch them. I do enjoy the sequel trilogy, Last Jedi notwithstanding. The original is the original. It will always be the original. It will always be there. But remember a couple months ago when Disney Plus came out and McClunky was in A New Hope, and everyone was like, where the did this come from? Where the hell did that come from? What the hell is going on? And then we find out that that was a Lucas edition, that was going to be from the 3D version of the movie, that if it was going to ever come out, that's what it would be. And no one liked McClunky because it sounded stupid. But that was a Lucas tweak. Han shooting first, no longer happening, was a Lucas tweak that people don't like. So it's good that he has let it go, because now it's got the opportunity to move away from Lucas and to be in a position to where Star Wars can find its second life. And again, there are people out there that are going to watch this video and think, oh, you're just hating on Lucas. I love that man. Like I said, he called me up and was like, Matt, come with me. I'm like, all right. We drop my kids off at home, and I'm going to go to the airport, and I'll meet you we'll go hide that body. Like, I would do that. But I'm also going to be honest about where things are, and honest about what happened, and looking at the history of Lucas and Lucasfilm and Star Wars and what we didn't get. I mean, just today, Star Wars Underworld, that test footage leaked out, and it wasn't good. It was okay. It was an interesting proof of concept, but would the show have been any better? Who knows? Lucas lost his touch for Star Wars a long time ago. And I don't know if it was just based off of resentment from how popular it was. Perhaps it's imposter syndrome, that he never thought he could recapture the glory from the original trilogy. And to be fair, like, you never will. You know, it's like as much as I love Indiana Jones, Raiders is my all-time favorite movie. And I love that character and I love everything about the original trilogy. And, you know, look at number four. Number four tried, and number four has a lot of problems. And a lot of people hate Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. Lucas was heavily involved in that one. Even Spielberg has said, I made the movie my friend wanted me to make. There's always something with Lucas that doesn't quite add up. And we always tend to overlook it. We always tend to look past it because it's coming from George Lucas. He's got interesting ideas that some have panned out, some haven't panned out. But he obviously has not cared as much as the rest of us do. And that's why it's okay that he sold it. He let it go. And I'm fine with that. So no, I don't want Lucas coming back. I don't want to force this onto someone who doesn't want it. Why would you? Why would you want that to be a thing? Why would you want to be in that scenario? You know, why to be in that scenario? It just, we've already gone through The Last Jedi. We've already gone through the Rise of Skywalker. Do we need more shit to fight about? No, we don't. Anyway, those are my thoughts, my opinions. I'm curious to know what you guys have to say about this. Again, conversation will be interesting. We might have to do a live show talking about it to get everyone's perspective, but I do want to hear your thoughts and your opinions. Let me know down in the comments below. If you did make it this far, I appreciate it. Be sure to put Lucas in the comment box so I know. Yeah, again, this is just a discussion. This is just my opinion. I don't want you to think that I don't like the guy. I do. I love the guy. He's like an inspiration and a hero, obviously, but I can understand where the reality of the situation is. And this is why I put my thoughts out there. Anyway, I'll talk to you guys later. Have yourself a great day and peace out.